facts, because I would argue that one of the reasons Trump got re-elected against all the odds, if you think about what happened after January 6th and everything else, the fact that he got re-elected, I always felt was three-pronged, right? One was immigration. I think Biden completely dropped the ball with immigration, particularly on the southern border. Second, the economy. And thirdly, the whole woke issue, the whole woke culture. And in particular, I would say, the issue, for example, of trans athletes in women's sport, which is, to me, if you're talking about facts, it is something that most Americans looked at and went, you know what, this is ridiculous. How can you deny biological reality? How can you go against scientific fact? So many would argue that it was the Democrats who lost track of facts and moved into a slightly strange, surreal place where they were trying to deny stuff which most Americans went, well, that's ridiculous.
Look, I would not qualify it the way that you're qualifying it. I do believe that you have a point about the Democratic Party not understanding the moment that we're in, that America's in right now. As far as trans athletes, I think that was, although I understand to certain people it is a big deal, it is such a minute, small percentage of the population, and the trans athletes that are actually in schools and that are competing in in competitions, it's so minor. It affects so few Americans. I'm shocked that it was used to the level that it was in the election, and to great success. And so I must commend the Republicans on an issue that wasn't really an issue for most Americans, that they made it into something that helped to catapult this president into office. Now,
but you see, I've heard a lot of Democrats using that argument, and I've said to them, one of the most effective. I'm not saying you're a Democrat. I'm just saying I've heard a lot of Democrats say it, and my argument to them has been, but I don't. The New York Times reported that the they/them ad that Trump put out, which gathered momentum and then became used more and more and more, was one of the most effective.
I think it was extremely successful.
It was one of the most successful modern political adverts, because it cut to the point, I think, again, about common sense, that most Americans actually, maybe they don't have it in their top 5 things they care about. I would absolutely accept that. But when you actually ask them, do you think this is fair? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's equal? Do you think it's good that women's rights would be eroded? They actually then do get quite exercised about it.
What's up, everybody? This is Pop in Politics. This is our Friday Night Live. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-host. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, family.
And Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
All right, folks, we've got a full show tonight. As you know, our Friday Night Live shows are always packed to the brim. Before we light this fire, do your part, tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We are live here on YouTube and Rumble. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcast or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off, folks. As you saw, we are starting off tonight talking about this, outrageous interview with Piers Morgan and Don Lemon. And they covered a vast amount of topics, from Jimmy Kimmel to Charlie Kirk to Joy Reid. And we're getting into all of it tonight. So before we do that, ladies, how are you all doing tonight?
I love Friday. It's
my
favorite day of the week.
Good.
I'm doing great.
It's been a long week.
Yes, it's been a very
long week. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm actually waiting for the weather to actually feel like fall consistently.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm still holding on to this warm weather for me. It was like almost about 90 degrees today. It was beautiful for me. I love it.
It was like 92 here. It's too hot.
Okay.
Too hot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to hold on to the summer as long as I can, but we got to dig into this interview. So as you saw at the top of the show, that was Don Lemon and Piers Morgan. Oh, we got a super chat here. Kung Fu CJ starting off tonight. Says, hello, Poppin' Politics family. Let's get it poppin'. All right. Thank you so much, folks. Your super chats go a long way in helping us produce conservative content. It keeps us online. We don't have any alliance, any allegiance to any big donors, anybody else. You guys are it. So we thank you. We appreciate you. We love you guys for supporting the channel. And it is the best way to do it. All right. So, I mean, this Piers Morgan interview was insane. So they, as you guys saw in the beginning, they talked about this sort of idea of woke culture and specifically about the trans identity, though the trans issue, trans women in sports also. And did you see how Don Lemon, this is why people voted for President Trump. He's sitting here saying that he doesn't understand why this was a big deal. And this is the reason why people voted for Trump, because he was a newscaster he was on a major network, and he doesn't understand, or he says he doesn't understand why this was a big deal. Do you guys get what I'm saying there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nicole, what are your thoughts? Mm-hmm.
Listen, he's a part of that alphabet mafia, right? Mm-hmm. So he's not going to say anything against the T in his alphabet mafia. He's really not. So he attempted to deflect and not answer the question, and then get kind of indignant when Piers kind of forced his hand to say something. The truth of the matter is this minuscule, minute, little tiny piece of Americans that they talk about that this affects, that's not true. It affects a whole lot of Americans. It affects everybody who wants fair play in competitive sports. Men and women are not the same. And as much as they would like to flatten the world and make us all just alike, that is not the way God did it. Men should play with men. Women should play with women. If they want to have, transvestite Olympics, let them have their own thing. So be it. So be it. But what we're not going to do is blend the sexes. Name a major sport where they're blend. Not in football. They have a women's football league, a men's football league, same in basketball. Everybody has their own league. It makes it competitive. But Don is just being slippery, as per usual.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get you in on this, Shelly. I want to continue though a little bit, go in, because he really goes off on this subject. Take a look, folks.
Give us some breaking news. Woke is dead. The war on common sense is officially over.
Look, Piers, I'm not here to argue over trans rights. I don't think it necessarily cut to the argument of common sense. I think they simply found an issue that they could capitalize on based on fear or some perceived religious value or what have you. So I'm not going to sit here and demonize trans people, trans women or trans men, because I just don't think that is fair and that is productive in this moment. I'm not going to go back and litigate why Donald Trump won and on the issue of trans. We simply disagree on that. I think it affects so few people. I think it was something that was blown out of proportion. And while there may be some people who are affected by it, and if they are, I'm sorry that happens. But happens. But I just don't think that was an issue that focuses.
So when
on
you see, for
sense,
example, in the Paris Olympics, when you saw Imam Khalif, an Algerian boxer who had been banned from the World Championships for testing positive for male chromosomes, when you saw a young female Italian boxer quit after 40 seconds because she'd never been hit that hard and genuinely feared for her life, and Imam Khalif goes on to win gold medal at the Olympics, does that not ring an alarm bell for you, Don? I mean, do you not think that the reason we separate sexes in the Olympics is because males have an advantage? I mean, why would you not think that's important?
Do you want me to tell you the truth?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Piers, I'll tell you the truth about this. I heard about this story, but it's not something that I focus on. I'm not watching the Olympics like that. Maybe I'm different. I'm just not. I'm not that interested in watching everything. I like to watch the swimming. I like to watch the gymnasts. I'm not interested in boxing or any of that because I think it's a brutal sport anyway. So for me, it's just not that interesting. I'm sorry that anybody was hit that hard, but if you put yourself in the arena to be hit and someone hits you hard, then whose fault is that?
Well, you expect to be hit by other women, not men.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know who she expected
when men
to be
hit
hit
women,
by.
we call it
I'm sure she saw. I'm sure whoever was in that competition understood who they were going into the ring with. And if you put yourself in that competition in the middle of a ring where punches are being thrown, then you can expect to get hit hard, whether it is a man or a woman. And that's all I have to say about that.
So you would have no objection to men fighting women in a boxing ring?
I did not say that. I just said that's all I have to say about that.
But isn't that the implication of what you're saying?
No, I've said in many different ways, that's all I have to say about that.
So let's get into this. Let's get into really what do you think about that exchange, Shelley?
Okay, first of all, I don't know what you all want Don to say, because he's not going to change his mind. Someone, JT, I think said it. Woke is not dead. Okay. These people are wed to their religion. I've said this many times, as much as any Christian, any Jew is. Okay. They are wed. I don't know what else you expect him to say. That's number one. Number two, I don't believe him that he didn't know or hear about that story. He's a journalist. Okay. I don't believe that part at all. I think that was just his way of again, not being boxed into one answer or the other. I think he wanted to take, quote unquote, the middle road. That's number two. Number three, he made the point earlier, Don did, that these trans people are less than 3% of the population, right? That's the point. They're less than 3% of the population, but yet they wanted all the rest of us, the other 97% of the world, in America certainly, to, quote unquote, not just accept them, not just treat them as human beings, but they wanted us to buy into mentally, our mind, our worldview, that they were men when they had a pussy, or that they were women when they had a dick. No, it doesn't go like that. So I know Don, again, I'm not expecting Don to say anything differently. I'm not. He is wed to his religion in as much as anyone else is.
Absolutely. And I think that's the issue. So he's trying to say that he really has no, first he came out and he said it's a brutal sport. And then when Piers cornered him and said, well, do you think it's an issue having biological men fight with women? He didn't want to answer it because he doesn't consider them biological men.
Exactly.
He considers them women, but he doesn't want to come out and say that. So he just wants to avoid the issue altogether. But this is the issue. This is the real problem here. He doesn't have a problem with men fighting women, but he thinks these transgender people are women. And so if he says that, oh, I have a problem with men fighting women, he doesn't want to have to say, but I don't think these are men. I think they're real women. That's what it is. And then here lies the problem. Okay.
Yes, you're right.
Exactly.
So Piers boxed him into that question, which I thought was masterful. You know, some people, it may seem that he's just asking them kind of random questions with this soft voice. No. He absolutely knew that he was boxing him in with that question. It's something that Don Lemon has toyed with publicly for a long time. KJ, you hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. He considers these transvestites women, regardless of their biology, regardless if they're bigger, stronger, faster, makes him no difference. In his mind, those men are women.
Right. Exactly. And he doesn't want to admit this. So let's get into his Charlie Kirk comments, because that was just insane. So let me see here. Okay, so let's get it started to where he starts talking about Charlie Kirk. I believe that was producers. Do we have that portion?
And I'm not
there?
changing it. I don't agree with you. That's it.
But if you were doing your old show at CNN, you would have listened to your own response and gone, what exactly did he mean by that?
I probably would have said, okay, that's what you said, and then I would move on.
Okay, we'll move on. You've criticized the MAGA right for turning Charlie Kirk into a martyr. You said if a black man on the left went around saying what Kirk said, the right wouldn't consider him a hero. It's an interesting point. Let's take a listen.
Saying white women do not have brain processing power and are stealing jobs from black men, the right would fucking lose their minds. Mark Lamont Hill, Roland, Michael Eric Dice. Let's say these brothers, or Bakari Sellers, or someone like that. If they went around saying some shit like that, they would be canceled immediately. They would be fired. People would scrub them from their whatever business that they work for. Or if they said, when I get on a plane and I see a white pilot, I'm like, damn, we're going to, I'm worried.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've seen that blow up a lot in the last few days. So I went back and actually watched exactly what Charlie Kirk
Where are you
said.
watching all this? I haven't seen any of this blow up that you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, it's been
Right.
everywhere. Everyone's been showing
Isn't
clips
it?
of Charlie Kirk all week on social media.
I have not seen. I have not
Such
seen
a
it.
liar.
Just not on social media.
I mean, what's
Yeah,
interesting
right.
is when
I'll
you
take your
watch it
word
all
for
in when you watch it all in context, it's a discussion that is prompted by the fact that Joy Reid, who you know well, had admitted she only got into Harvard because of DEI. So he said it all in the context of her revealing that, and which I think changes the impact of what he was saying. He wasn't just coming out with this. He was saying, there's Joy Reid admitting that she only got into Harvard because of DEI.
What's your question?
So my question is, you've cited that example of him just unilaterally saying black women don't have the brain processing power and so on. But when you actually watch the whole clip in context, that's not what he said.
You were making my point about the clip before, and which is the same point about the clip now that you played of me, where the context is explained, which is he was talking about not only Joy Reid, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. And it wasn't DEI that they were referring to. They were having discussions about affirmative action and about qualified people, qualified women of color who were offered opportunities or given opportunities that they may not have been given if it were not for affirmative action. And nothing to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so what he said, and I watched the clip, he said that what they were admitting to is that they were somehow a DEI hire and so on, and about brain processing power. I would suggest that you go back and listen to the clip that clip in context of what he was saying. He clearly said what he said, and I guess because of political ideology or because of bias, people are trying to interpret it and make it into something else. That is not what he said. Okay, he was very clear about the brain processing or lack of brain processing power for black women, or for those black women.
With Charlie Kirk's death.
All right, so let's get into this, because this is where it gets a little fishy. Okay, so I want to take a look at the actual clip. Okay, so first, let's listen to I'm trying to figure, what should we do? Joy Reid or Charlie Kirk's comment? Let's listen to Joy Reid's actual comment first. This is clip 7.
Let me just be clear. I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action. I went to a school no one had ever heard of in Denver, Colorado, in a small suburb. I didn't go to Exeter or Andover. I didn't have college test prep. I just happened to be really nerdy and smart and have really good grades and good SAT scores. Right. But someone came to Denver, Colorado to look for me. A Harvard recruiter flew to Denver, and I met up with her at the Village Inn restaurant and did a pre-interview to pull me into Harvard. I was pulled in, and the schools like Harvard and Yale that I got into affirmatively. Yes. And it was literally not saying we're going to take an unqualified person and put them in Harvard. Yes. We're going to take a very qualified person who we would never know existed and put them in Harvard. That's how I got there. That's how Ketanji got there. That's how Justice Jackson, I should say. Justice Jackson got there. It's how Clarence Thomas got there. Right. But the minute I arrived from my majority black little town, Montbello in Denver, to Harvard, the first like week or two that I was in class, my presence was questioned by white people. I was in this big conference class where some white students stood up and said, those students, the black students, they're only here because of affirmative action. It became a huge argument that we all ended up having. This was freshman year. I had never had my academic credentials questioned. I had never had anyone question whether I was intelligent until I got to Harvard.
All right. So that clip has been making its rounds on social media, but they only clip out the first like 10 seconds. They don't really clip out that full exchange that she had. She did say she got into Harvard due to affirmative action, but she does provide additional details surrounding that. Okay. So before I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. I want to play now Charlie Kirk heard her say that, and he responded with this. This is clip 6.
You really have to wonder. In fact, if we would have said 3 weeks ago, Blake, if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, and particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color, but I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that. We know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. This is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course. That's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance. Of course. Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson. They think this is persuasive. They think as they kind of now reveal that I'm only here because of anti-white, anti-Asian forced discrimination policies that turn me into a bitter, resentful activist that hates white people, honestly, through our policies.
All right. So let's get into this because I thought this was interesting. So firstly, let's get to our super chatters. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's see here. We have Democracy Dudes with the $5 super chat says, thank you so much. Sanity and courage. Thank you. Kung Fu CJ, get him, ladies. Don is delusional. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. All right, Laura. I haven't seen you in a while, Laura.
I know. Hey, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
KJ, Nicole, Shelly E, and Poppin' Politics family. Thank you. All right, so I want to get into this because, first of all, I agree with Charlie Kirk that Sheila Jackson Lee is a moron. What's her name? Joy Reid is a moron. They're morons. I do agree with that. Okay. But I want to ask you, because someone called me out on this on social media, and they said that affirmative action is not about putting people in place that are not as smart as these other people. It's about going to places that would not normally be places you would go to find qualified people and put them in these positions. So it's sort of like recruiting in other places outside of the normal recruiter spots. And you're going there to find people that you may not go find that will come to you. Sort of like that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, you all can be mad with me later or now, but I think this was one of the, I guess I would say, problematic comments, if you will, from Charlie Kirk. And let me explain why. To your point about affirmative action and DEI, yes, we kind of lump them all together now, in that, you know, I have said before that DEI is kind of like an extension, if you will, of affirmative action. But affirmative action initially was about, you still had to be qualified, but they were trying to make the pool of whatever that population was, you know, people that, again, like you said, outside of that main sphere, wherever that may be. Joy Reid did say that she got into Harvard on affirmative action, but she also said she had high grades, SATs, she did well, she was a nerdy kid. So in that sense, she had some qualifications to even be considered for that quote unquote affirmative action pick, if you will. I'm not sure about Sheila Jackson Lee, Ketanji Jackson Brown. I'll give her credit in the sense that she is a justice. She was a judge, a justice, whatever. That takes a lot of schooling. Having said that, I think it was problematic the way Charlie responded, because he said something about taking jobs from some people, whomever. But Joy Reid said that they came to her town. They came to her town. So in that sense, I say problematic. I'm not saying racist, because I don't think he's racist. I think it was just problematic, or maybe the wording. But herein lies the problem. And this happens on, I guess, on the, I would say on my side. What we tend to do now is that when we hear or see someone who says, or maybe they are affirmative action picks, certainly DEI, but what we do is we all kind of just, you know, DEI, affirmative action, did not qualify. It really does make all of us question the qualifications of anybody, particularly a Black person in those positions, as if Black people cannot be qualified. They only got there because they were DEI. And this is all of us frantically, social media, because we all, I mean, you know, I'm saying we, including myself, we all run to that because it's sensational, it's emotional, when what we really should do is step back maybe and ask, or at least look into what the credentials are. How, if, you know, depending on what the topic is. I'm not saying that we all have time all day to do that. I'm just making a bigger point. But because of affirmative action and DEI, everybody, or every Black person, gets lumped in, and now we all bear the cost. And my last point, Clarence Thomas, in one of his books, I think it was My Grandfather's Son, I read that a while ago. He talked about, I think it was that book, he talked about he wasn't sure if he did get in because of affirmative action or not. But you know, that cloud, if you will, was over him, at least early on. It was over him because, you know, now he had to be thought of as an affirmative action pick when he actually had the muster to be accepted into the schools.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this, Nicole?
So affirmative action, you know, died a horrible, horrible death purposely, because we don't want set-asides, right? So if you listen to what Joy Reid actually says, she says, I was a smart kid in my all-Black little tiny town in Colorado. Dare I say that although she was the smartest kid in that class, per her saying that, she could not compete with some kid from Georgetown Prep, some kid that has an East Coast classical education. Dare I say, the mediocre kid in the classical education class would run circles around her, even if she was the best thinker in her little podunk town. So what affirmative action did is said, no, not you, really smart kid in Georgetown who worked your butt off. We're going to go to podunk and we're going to find Joy Reid, because we have a certain quota of minority kids we have to take according to the law. That was the rub of affirmative action. Not that not all the people who participated weren't smart enough. It was the gall of saying, here you are at the top of your class, busted your ass 12 years. Congratulations. You can go to a state school, because we have to give these 25 slots to kids who didn't work as hard as you did, who didn't put in the time that you did, but we need to diversify, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not qualified, but Shelley, you're right. The connotation of that, of affirmative action, when you hear that, people automatically think unqualified.
Well, wait a minute,
The only way you got here is for that.
But that's what it is. I mean, And is my internet acting up? Can you guys see me all right?
Right now, yeah.
Oh, okay. But that's not fair. If what you're saying, Nicole, is different than what Shelley said, and I understand what you're saying, because a smart person at maybe Podunk, Denver, Colorado high school is not going to be rated and not necessarily as a smart person at, I don't know, Friends School of DC. Do you understand what I'm saying? The generally speaking, the smartest person there is going to be a C student at Friends School in DC. It's just because of the level of rigor, the assignments, the things that so that's not fair. I don't understand how that's fair. It's you're just going out of your way to these other towns to find people that they may be smart in their pool, but they're not smart when you put them in the pool of like Friends or wherever. I'm just throwing a school out there. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying, but that's, I mean, I guess, this could go down the trail of statistics and having representative samples and different populations, things like that. So all of that is, or I guess was, factored in to some degree for affirmative action. But again, the affirmative action is different in the part that DEI seems to just put anybody in there. That's, you look like you got the color or whatever, we're gonna put you in, or the sex. Affirmative action was initially different in that you still had to meet whatever qualifications there were to even be considered to be a part of the chosen few, whatever that may be. So it was slightly different in that sense. And that's just why I'm saying, yeah, Joy Reid, I don't know what her grades are. And again, just because Podunk, people come from Podunk, whatever, Podunk USA, in certain populations, or again, when you have these representative samples or certain cross-sectional samples, somebody in Podunk may be equally on the, as far as the SATs, they could do well on the SATs as well, just like someone from Friends. That's all. It's possible.
The statistics
yes,
don't.
they can. Yes, they can.
Let me finish, please.
A good student can be trained and taught how to pass SAT.
I agree there. I agree.
That's very true. But SATs aren't the only thing they look at.
I'm not
right?
looking at SATs,
I get
though.
that,
But
I'm just saying on
am I breaking up?
I don't know. I get that, but I'm just saying on affirmative action. I think Joy Reid is a moron, whatever, too, in that sense. But again, the way this particular issue, whenever it was discussed with Charlie Kirk, it was a little problematic.
I understand that, but I want to get back to what I was saying, because I disagree with you there.
Okay.
I'm not talking particularly about when I say Podunk, I'm not saying it just.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
She said Podunk. She said that type of framing. And I'm not saying that, small towns aren't going to be as rigorous in education as other places. But what I'm saying is, and statistics show this, that when affirmative action and not so much DEI, but these affirmative action programs in higher education, when they're going out of their way to bypass kids who have been in rigorous settings, and they're going to these other places and they're picking out the smartest person in a less rigorous academic setting, they don't do well. And so this is what I think Nicole was saying, and I agree with you that that's not right. Just take the people, the best of the best, in my opinion. I've seen this happen. Different schools in different areas will have different levels of academic rigor. And so an A student, I actually went through an A student at maybe school A, who, and again, I mean, I'm not trying to put any other schools down, but let's do private and public. An A student at most public schools, particularly here in Maryland, is not getting the same type of rigor and academic challenge as an A student at some of these private schools. And so it's not the same.
I didn't say it was the same.
So what I'm reading in is that she was at a school that normally is not the pool of academic rigor as these other schools. And they're saying that they think it's okay to go to these other schools and grab, quote, smart students for that area and bring them into Harvard. Nicole, is that what you were saying? I just want to confirm that.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. But, for me, the rub is this. What Harvard and these very elite schools could have done is say, yes, we're going to take in 100 kids, 100 freshmen coming in, but we're going to add another 10, another 20 of affirmative action students. Now, that doesn't take anything away from the 100 kids they were going to take originally. It just kind of adds more people. Unfortunately, affirmative action on paper sounds pretty good, reads pretty good, but in practice was not, because as Joy Reid was saying, they came and they flew out, they were looking for, that kind of thing. But what happens when all of the Joy Reids are out of the pool? What happens then? And you're still under the gun with this law to get these kids and to find them somewhere, to find somebody who fits that qualification so that you're in compliance with the law. And then take this into consideration. If you are the #1 student in Podunk, USA, and I'm not saying smart people don't come from Podunk, lots of smart people come from Podunk, right? But you finally, you get the affirmative action, they bankroll your education, you get to Harvard, and that first day is going to blow your damn mind because you can't keep up. Right. So you're putting the student in a place where they're uncomfortable and it's hard. And then you've got the other kids who work their asses off to get there saying, why the hell is she here? And why do we have to slow down class to accommodate this one when I've worked my butt off my whole academic career to get here? So there was so much unfairness that was born from this idea of, how do we get more minorities in these spaces? What can we do? Theoretically, again, this is the difference between things in your mind and things in actual practice. In your mind, it sounds like, we might be able to do that. But in practice, no, ma'am. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And it gave us modern DEI now. I mean, modern DEI now is a horrible, horrible thing because they don't even have qualifications except for your sex, your skin color, your gender. That's the only things they look for now in DEI.
It sounds like it's a case for what we've said, getting government by and large out of education, particularly K through 12, and even at the college level with loans that students can go wherever they want for the most part, as long as they have the money, but they may not be able to compete. That's what it sounds like a case for. And you're right. Most of those schools, all of these laws, again, government is making up these social experiments, and these colleges in some ways are trying to cross the T's and dot the I's and still collect whatever the financial aid and still dot the I's over here on the affirmative action side. Again, but ultimately the outcome is that it really makes all of us suspicious of wherever these people wind up in whatever qualifications or jobs.
Absolutely. And that is why I don't have a problem with what Charlie Kirk said, because what has happened is now we have people saying, making comments like what Charlie Kirk made, because this DEI crap, the results have not been good. Not just DEI, affirmative action, I should say, have not been good, overall. The way it's been implemented, and then in practice, it hasn't been good. You have all of these leftist Black folk out here talking, I was a DEI hire, and they can't even speak well. They're not doing well on TV. They're not doing well on the job, and it's become a joke. It's become a joke, and so this is why you have people like Charlie Kirk who was reacting to it this way.
I think Charlie Kirk's comment would have been taken much better had he chosen other words. Sometimes when you use hard words to tell hard truths, people get hard feelings. How about that? That's a Shelley thing, right? Check out that alliteration, right? But sometimes people, it's not what you say, it's the way that you say it. I know he's not a fan of any of the women that he mentioned. I also know that Charlie was a godly man, but he was a man. We're not going to canonize him. He was a whole man like everybody else, and he had failings like everybody else. And this was, his shock jock moment. All of us who've ever watched Rush Limbaugh, he had lots of shock jock moments. Sean Hannity, when he was on the radio, lots of shock jock moments. So sometimes we have to take the good with the bad, a little salt with the sugar. But he made his point. Were people's feelings hurt? Yes. Are people's feelings still hurt? Yes. Who cares?
Right. Yeah.
Because, Joy Reid got her free education, and so did Ketanji Brown Jackson. So did Michelle Obama. These women got world-class educations simply by being the best in their particular bubble and their skin color.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, sound off in the chat. Let us know what you all think. Do you agree? Do you think what Charlie Kirk said was problematic? Or do you think he was right on? Let's see what we have here. All right. Chadwick says, with the $5 super chat, says, the same things happen in college sports. Because you are the best in your D3 school, when you get to D1, you get waxed. I don't know about that. Within D1, D2, D3, depending on the conference you're in, some schools are better. Like a D3 school, depending on the conference, can be just as good as a D2, even a D1. So it just depends on the conference you're in. Chat, Kung Fu CJ with the $2 super chat says Thomas Sowell documents this in his books. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Again, your super chats help to keep us online, and we appreciate the support. Also, special shout out to Lady Maga. I think he was in the chat. We have had him on the show multiple times. He's right out of Utah too. So shout out to Lady Maga. Yes, he says Charlie was not perfect. We all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
All right. So want to keep this going, folks. Want to change gears a little bit here and talk about Jimmy Kimmel. So you all know he was recently axed from his show over comments he made about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Here's the clip of what he actually said. This is clip 3.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the 4th stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
Wow. Okay. So my first question was that he changed that clip. Is that right? President Trump didn't really react that way. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he made a spoof. I mean, I call it a spoof.
Well, he added in the answer about the ballroom from another question that another reporter asked and put his voice over top of the reporter's voice. For him, he says it's a joke. It's just him joking. Again, I've never found him funny. I mean, that's not my type of humor. But for his little studio audience, I could hear a couple of people chuckling, hee.
Yeah, well, he lied, though. He lied about Charlie Kirk's assassin being MAGA. They weren't. As we know, as the alleged shooter's mother said that he went through a change over the last year or so. He started getting into trans ideology and leftist ideology. I mean, it's been all over the news. It was very well reported prior to Jimmy Kimmel making this comment. It wasn't funny. And it basically caused an understandable outrage all over America.
Maybe he was out with Don Lemon, since neither one of them watched,
Right.
watch any news or look at the internet. They just missed the whole thing. I think it's willful neglect. I know for a fact that Jimmy Kimmel has a full staff of quote unquote assistants that help him put his monologue together. They help him with his little skits and all that kind of thing. They quote unquote fact check. Take that for how you need it, folks. They do not do very well with the fact checking bit, but you know, he knows who he's playing to his audience. And for him, switching out that clip, making it seem like all the Democrat tropes are right, like Trump is delusional, he's too old to be president. They're trying to ascribe everything that happened with Joe Biden to Donald Trump. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. There's no comparison between these two men, but they keep trying anyway.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Shelley?
All right, so first of all, I meant to say this: the Don Lemon and Piers Morgan. I watched that whole show. Time I will never get back again. So, oh my gosh, that was number one. Number two, again, y'all gonna be a little upset with me tonight. Jimmy Kimmel, as funny or goofy as the joke was, it was a joke. Okay, these people are not obligated to make our case for us, and they're not going to do it. I'm going to say it again. Woke is not dead. I thank you, JT, for saying that earlier. Why we keep expecting them to just suddenly become I don't know, decent or civil or empathetic. That word has been going around lately, and they're not. So my expectations for them to be any different, I don't know. So maybe that's why I don't see it that way. Now, on the free speech part, ABC, Disney, they're going to do whatever they want to do. The part that I disagree or have some angst about is the FCC coming in and whatever hands they pulled. I don't know all the strategy, because I don't agree with someone being fired, if that's the case, for free speech or not. I don't know, fired, suspended by way of the FCC, because I'm always going to take the position that when the government, because the government, the First Amendment is for the government, not for Disney or ABC. And when I hear conservatives, you know, in glee about this, I say a couple of things. Number one, when we were censored, especially during the scamdemic, we were censored. It wasn't right. It wasn't good. We were up in arms, as we should have been, figuratively. But if we say yes to the government doing it to somebody we don't like, you better be damn sure ready and understand that they're going to come when the tables turn. It's going to happen again. So that's the part that gets me worked up every time.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think
he wasn't involved in this, were they?
Not until the
ABC.
Not until the end.
What's his name? Brendan Carr.
He made some comments.
Yes.
He made some comments, but from what I've understood about this whole situation, it wasn't even ABC corporate that had the problem. It was the affiliates, because a network is only as strong as the people who are willing to watch that trash. So when the affiliates were saying, hold on, you know, people who are here are at a vigil for this man, you know, this is not appropriate for this. And when they reached out to ABC, it wasn't one or two affiliates, it were thousands of affiliates. So what I do know about corporate America is that the worst thing that you can do to corporate America is take their money. ABC is not about to lose a dime so Jimmy Kimmel can make his point in a joke. They're not going to lose sleep over letting him go. They will replace him with another mediocre comedian who'll stand there and make a similar monologue without all of the cringy stuff and collect the paycheck. I think at some point, some of these late night hosts, they get into this thing where they think they're like a late night god and nobody can touch them. Bro, you're a comedian. This is a gig. It's not going to last the rest of your life. Tell your joke and have a seat. This is not a life moment for you, and you're not bigger than any other person on TV, and you too, sir, can be canceled.
Right, exactly. Lady Maga, I'm sorry, I mistook you for someone else, so I do apologize.
Okay, but thank you. Anyway,
someone else has that name that I knew, but no, I'm sorry. I do apologize. So I understand that the FC people reached out to the FCC, as they do on many things, making complaints about him. But from what I'm understanding, it was actually ABC that fired him just over, like you mentioned, the affiliates and losing advertising.
They're losing their money. Are you serious? You know how much money they pay that clown? Plus all the little clowns that work for him. I mean, that's the thing with, again, there's something about the way that we elevate these people who are on TV that they kind of lose their sense of what's real. You know, I need you to keep that same energy you had before you had the multi-million-dollar contract to be on ABC, because at any moment it can be gone. Like Stephen Colbert, he's still complaining. He's still whining. Bro, they've given you a year, find another gig. Like any
my question for you ladies is, if you were his employer, would you have kept him on, or would you have fired him?
Not playing with my money, he got to go.
Yeah, I mean, because the affiliates were complaining. I don't know how many, but a number of their affiliates were complaining that they weren't going to show that advertisers. So that is a financial decision. I'm talking about Brendan Carr's comments about his comments were misleading, and then you add that into even more context. Recently, a couple days ago, Pam Bondi with her statement about hate speech. And of course, in the context of all of this, there's always layers and layers, right? Of course, all of this in the context of Charlie Kirk's assassination. But what I'm saying is that, again, number one, outside, we keep expecting these people, they don't give a damn about us. They don't care that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Outside, we're the ones in mourning and upset. Why do we expect them to? I mean, maybe on a human level, you just think humans would do that. But we're giving them too much credit. We're expecting them to, again, give up their religion and come over to outside. No, they're not going to do that. So maybe we need to change our expectations. And since we are generally focused in reality, and you know, in reality, the reality of it is they don't give a damn about us.
Exactly.
That's it. No, I think everyone on our side understands that. The issue, however, is we have a certain people on our side who still want to play by the rules, you know, who still want to turn the other cheek, and then some like me who are like, I'm happy he was fired. Whatever reason they gave, I'm happy he was fired. He deserved to be fired. Now, am I calling for censorship? No. But listen, no one banned Jimmy Kimmel from every major social media app. That actually happened to Trump. No one conspired to put Jimmy Kimmel in jail. That actually happened to President Trump. No one fired a bullet at Jimmy Kimmel. That happened to Trump and actually Charlie Kirk. So what happened to Kimmel is that his corporate employer decided he was no longer a profitable figurehead for its product distributed over the public airways. And that's great. I love it. You can call it cancel culture. You can call it whatever it is. But I'm tired of conservatives getting the brunt of all this bad stuff and these leftists not getting anything happening to them. So I am glad when they have been showing over the last week, all of these teachers, professors, these people in their jobs who have made disgusting comments surrounding this assassination attempt of a Christian, of someone for their Christian beliefs, for their political beliefs, and they've gotten fired, suspended from them their jobs. I was livid. I mean, happy. I was ecstatic about it. And I'm going to continue to be. I have no regrets. I don't feel sorry for these people at all. They deserve it. That's just my opinion.
But, you know, this is the thing. Just think about how much our culture has changed in such a short period of time. When President Trump, back then candidate Trump, had the shot toward his ear, the guy was trying to shoot him in the head and missed and got his ear. So, you know, the Republican convention was a couple of days later. So we're all out in Milwaukee. Everybody's having a great time, you know, chopping it up. But as we checked our socials, Democrats were doing what they tried to do to Charlie Kirk. They were laughing, they were joking, there were all kind of jokes. And I mean, there were sitting legislators who said, oh, he wasn't hurt, you know, with shrapnel, piece of plastic from the podium, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing wrong with his ear. He doesn't need that big bandage. That was on network TV. Although we complained, there was really nothing done about it. Now, take a look at us now. 7, 8 months later? 10 months? Let's give it September. 10 months later, guess what? You complain if you want to. You go out here and make fun of anybody getting assassinated for their political beliefs, or just being a Christian person, or having civil discourse with people and you don't like that, look how quickly our culture has changed. It used to be cool to make fun of Donald Trump and anybody else who got shot at. Look at it now. When I tell you we have made great strides in just this little bit of time, imagine what this country is going to look like after 4 years.
Yeah. So, not Nicole, I'm sorry. Let me tell you this. I have lost no sleep over Jimmy Kimmel and any of the other people being fired, suspended. That's not my point. My point is, I'm concerned always about the government swooping in and using these moments to pass all this legislation that's ultimately going to censor all of us. That's what I mean. So it's this incrementalism, this creepism is what I call it. And I don't want that. We don't need more government. We don't need Pam Bondi talking about they're going to come target you for hate speech. When all this time conservatives has been like, wait a minute, what is hate speech? Who gets to decide what hate speech is?
Exactly.
Certainly not the government. Okay. No, I don't need that. And I don't want our side or any side definitely to use these opportunities again as a carte blanche moment to go and pass these bills and legislation. Then everybody gets censored. And we all in the end, we're wondering around, well, how? We're gonna walk around like this with mask on technically again? No, I don't want that. So that's my concern and my focus of how these angles can play out.
Absolutely.
I love it that their employers are doing the firing and it's not the government that's chasing them down. You're right, Shelley, because eventually the pendulum is going to swing the other way. So we definitely want to keep our fundamental rights, our constitutional rights in play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, as you come in, please hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. We really want to reach 200,000 subscribers by the end of the weekend, and we can only do it with your help. Please share this broadcast, post it on your social media, send it in a DM. We want to hit 200,000 subscribers by Sunday, and we know we can do it with your help. We appreciate all of our new community members here, people who have joined. Yes, our Freedom Seekers Club. Folks, you know, we are God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that, as we said in the beginning, value freedom. So please stand with us, no matter your age, no matter your gender, no matter your ethnicity. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right. So speaking of this disgusting leftist media, I wanted also to play this next clip of CNN using an old Charlie Kirk clip about his response to being kind of like made fun of Park, to Kimmel making fun of his assassination. It's disgusting. This is clip 2. Take a look.
So one conservative that we can hear from on this is actually Charlie Kirk himself, who, of course, it has been widely noted that he was gunned down when he was engendering debate, right? He was having debate with people that he disagreed with, that he agreed with, right? So he did an interview with Fox at one point where he talked about comedy, what it means to be made fun of. I won't characterize it. Let's watch it.
I look at this as a badge of honor. I laughed and I chuckled. I couldn't believe, honestly, at first, like, come on, this has to be some sort of AI troll, but turns out it's real. I'm excited to watch it because, look, we as conservatives need to be able to take a joke, right? We shouldn't take ourselves so seriously. That's something that the left has always done to great detriment to themselves and the movement. And look, again, they're professional comedians. They're probably going to roast me, and I think that's fine. I think that's probably one of the problems that we've had in our politics is that people can't take a joke.
Charlie Kirk himself on that episode of South Park saying it's one of the problems, we can't take a joke.
Wow. So first of all, he wasn't just gunned down. He was assassinated. Get it right. What did you think of that, Shelley?
Yeah, I thought that was very low. I mean, it was low. First of all, this man, like, assassinated. I'm going to keep using that word, assassinated. I'm going to purposely think about using that word. And now they're just trying to they're making Jimmy Kimmel, now he's supposed to be the martyr. He's their martyr now. He really is their martyr now. You know, he's their poster boy for, you know, Trump or the Republicans are censoring things like that. Again, it's low. It's low. It's disgusting. But again, I hate to say it because they are human beings. And again, we as human beings, our initial reaction is that we would expect other human beings to at least have a level of decency. They don't, and they're not going to. They're not going to. But this is low. I don't even know if Charlie Kirk is buried yet. But
Nope.
it was just low. It was just low.
Do you know what's interesting is not only was it lowbrow, it was incredibly, you know, cheap. It was a cheap shot. But you're right, Shelley. We've come to expect that from them. We should not have any other expectations other than they're going to be cheap, low rent, you know, dirty pool, all of that. This is why their ratings are low. This is why most people only watch it to get content, to create other content. Right? No one's watching them for news or updates or information. They are wholly poor entertainment at this point, and they realize that. So they don't care about being fair and honest. They don't. They're preaching to the choir, and that's exactly what they do. You know, Charlie Kirk did like the South Park episodes about him. One, he liked that the character actually kind of looked like him. You know, kind of had the little hair doodly thing that he had. And South Park is funny. Unlike Jimmy Kimmel. It really is funny. It'll make you blow soda out your nose. It is hilarious, right? And he's right. Sometimes the far right can be very, very persnickety. Let's say that. The very, you know, foot up the buttish, if you will, right? They don't want to laugh publicly. They want to be stern and they want to look hard and do all of those things like we're some sort of subhuman species lacking emotion. And that's not very true. I mean, you ladies have been in rooms with powerful Republican people, and you know they're just like everybody else, laughing, joking, having a good time. But you turn a camera and a hot mic on, suddenly everybody is pious, never had a drink, never did anything, you know, bad in their life, never said a cuss word. It is just the way that people expect us to be. So people, you're just meeting your constituents' expectations there. But Charlie Kirk was a funny guy. He liked funny things. There's a video going around with him and Candace Owens riding in a car, and they're rapping some R. Kelly song, you know, or singing some R. Kelly song. He was a whole human being. So let's not canonize him. Let's make sure that he stays a man, right? And don't let the left do that either. Don't let them make him into something that he was not, because if they do, they'll continue to bash us when the moments when he was just being human.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He was just a nice guy. I mean, you know, when you look at it all, I mean, and honestly, after, you know, his assassination, and I'm watching all of his videos and his interviews, I didn't even realize he was this nice. I honestly did not realize until after his assassination that he was just this nice of a guy. And so, but I think a lot of people who actually take the time to watch all of the interviews, or most of them, or at least get to know what he was really about, not just sound bites, realize that well, the whole stuff. But I want to get into, you know, you brought her up, so let's go on this line, Candace Owens. I mean, talk about nutty. All right, folks. So she just really, this last week has just been a week. It has been a week of meltdowns for Candace Owens. And yesterday, I think each day, I didn't think it could get any worse. And then yesterday it did. In this next clip, Candace melts down over not being invited to speak at memorial. He's having a memorial on Sunday. And she is responding to that. Take a look. This is clip 4.
Is she planning to attend his memorial service in Arizona? Was she asked to speak, or did she ask to be a part of the program? Why would I ask to be a part? Like this is obviously Erica is in like full control. I would hope she's in full control, but I don't know, because I'm hearing some stories about donors that are pushing things. I'm hearing about the pressure that's even happening with planning this event. And nope, you're right. You got me. I was not invited to speak alongside President Trump and JD Vance on the stage. with Tucker Carlson at a memorial event. There's this memorial thing in Arizona, which is not a funeral. It's a memorial event. Okay. That is, by the way, in large part, from what I understand, being controlled by the White House. Trump is controlled by Zionists. So they're like baiting me here. Why would I be invited by anyone in Trump's Zionist administration as I am speaking about topics that I am speaking? It's common sense. They're not going to allow me to share the stage, right? They're, oh my, well, are you speaking? Are you one of the 5 people that's speaking at this event? No, I'm not. And guess what? That's not going to stop me from looking into this and understanding what exactly it is that happened. You're trying to make us move on.
What? So in that yesterday's clip, I hope I'm not cutting out again. She badmouthed Erica Kirk, badmouthed Trump, badmouthed the memorial service. I mean, the list goes on. What are your thoughts on this, Shelley?
Wait a minute. I just want to be clear. What part did she badmouth Erica? Because I heard her say, "I hope she's in full control." Is that what you're saying? That part right there?
Yeah, she actually she's questioning whether Erica Kirk has control over the memorial service.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I was
she's claimed the whole week she has been insinuating that Charlie Kirk, when he was alive, and now after he has died, is being controlled by donors. That's not a nice thing to say. Are being manipulated and controlled by donors. They're not. What does that mean? That means basically that they're not really who they say they are.
Yeah. No. I got that part. I just wanted that one line because I thought she was just saying, I hope Erica is in control. So I hear what you're saying there. I got it. But let me sum it up with this. When I watched that again, oh my gosh. Candace, she looked, or she at least came across, she was upset that she's not invited and or on the platform sharing the stage. I think she's upset. And her little digs, I get more angry now that the more I'm seeing Candace now, particularly in this time, because it's utterly disrespectful. Even talking about a sense of decency, I would never have thought that she would go to this length to thumb her nose, to take digs, to demean, to just insinuate, make all these allegations, particularly at this time. I think she is adding to their grief, their pain, that I don't know. I'm just saying it's compounding their grief. She looks like a bat out of hell. Angry, the typical stereotypical angry Black woman right now for all the wrong reasons that she doesn't even have to be.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts?
I think Shelley's absolutely right. I think Candace is feeling left out. I think that she feels like this was her friend and they spent some quality time and they built this organization, and she's kind of been pushed out to the side. Now, some of that I get, that she was just being snarky about her not sharing the stage with Trump and JD and all of that. However, that's something that you don't say publicly. You just kind of push forward. Yeah, no, I'm not speaking at his memorial service, and just leave it alone. But there's something about this situation that maybe we don't know yet that's causing her to want to poke every bear that she runs into, because there's not been a person that she hasn't had a fight with since the incident happened, since Charlie was assassinated, right? She has poked the bear at every single body. So maybe there was an ask that she made that was, denied, and she's feeling some kind of way. And we don't know that. And there's a great chance we probably will never know it. It's probably embarrassing to her, and that's why she's not said it. But someone on this woman's team has got to get her together. Someone has got to say, okay, time out. Enough is enough. You'll go. She can get footage. She can sit in the stands like everybody else. I'm sure they offered her a VIP ticket. She can go and have a great time. But what can't happen is that she can't disparage everybody else who's grieving just to make herself feel bigger. And that's how she comes across. Like she's not, quote unquote, in competition with Erica and grieving, but no one is paying enough attention to how hard she's grieving, is the way that she's coming across. And it is disgusting. I get he was your friend. He was a friend to a lot of people, right? A lot of people. Charlie was very popular among conservatives. However, you're the only one that's making this about you. And that has to stop.
Yeah. But Nicole, as far as Erica, let me say it this way. I've been thinking about this. I hope, my prayer is that she's not in control. And what I mean by that is that I hope she has plenty of people, all of her staff taking care of her, loving her, protecting her, covering her. That's what I hope, so that she can grieve, have the time to grieve. I didn't even want her to be the CEO for that reason. I just think that my mind is, I want her to grieve. I want her to have time. She had very young children, right? I don't want her to have to be tied up to be a CEO and all this of a board. I understand that's her husband. I get that part. I'm just saying from a grieving,
from a human standpoint, yes, you want to give her some time.
Yeah, and I didn't want her to be CEO for that reason. Yes,
I think what's going to happen is they're going to give her as much time as she needs, and Turning Point will run itself. Do you know what I mean? But the thing about when you lose your husband and having your family and his family and friends, they do come in and many hands make light work. However, she's still the mother of 2 children under the age of 4. And I'm sure her daughter is, where's daddy? It's hard for her to fathom. So imagine from her daughter's perspective. Again, that's a horror that she's going to relive throughout the course of her life. With all of that said, the last damn thing she needs is Candace pitching a hissy fit because she didn't get what she wants. And it just lying. Yes, it just comes across so poorly. Again, Candace is smart and capable and all these other things. It just seems like she's lost a touch of her humanness.
She's lost a touch of her humanness, and she's gained she wants money. This is about money and clicks, folks. We lost Charlie Kirk, and now she is using the connection she had with him several years ago, and she's trying to take advantage of it and clicks. And she's already really pushed this whole pro Hamas thing, and she's gained followers on the left from that. She's gained pro Hamas followers. I personally know people who are leftists who now watch Candace Owens. So she still has a small amount of conservatives who still watch her, and also people who are anti-Zionist, anti-Israel. And then she now has garnered the left. She's garnered people who are pro-Hamas. So she's actually grown her audience, and she needs to, because just as we mentioned this week, she major news dropped about the defamation suit. So she, as we know, she came out and said that she would not dismiss this case. She came out on Tucker Carlson's show. I don't even know if we still have that clip. If we do production, we're going to play it, I believe, yesterday, but we didn't.
Yeah, she said it on her own show too.
Right. That she would never, she was not going to dismiss the case. She wanted everything to be said in media, out in the open, so she could lay the Macrons to bear. She wanted everything out. Now she has filed to dismiss the Macron defamation lawsuit. She filed a legal motion this week asking a Delaware court to dismiss a defamation lawsuit brought against her by French President Emmanuel Macron. The case comes from an 8-part series aired between January and February, of course, where she made repeated claims about Brigitte Macron's background, later became the focus of a lawsuit filed in July. So now she is dismissing it. Her legal team is asking for it to be thrown out on 3 grounds: lack of governance, expiration of France's statute of limitations, and the legal doctrine of forum non-convenience, which discourages action in court with little connection to the dispute. So she is trying to get out of it, folks. She is trying to get out of it. And this actually also came out on the same day that Brigitte Macron came out and said that they are prepared to provide evidence, literally, figuratively. You can touch it, you can smell it, you can grab it, take hold of it, that she has a big fat vagina. All right.
I saw that one coming. I was like, oh God, KJ.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm
remember when Candace was on Piers Morgan a few weeks ago, and Piers basically said that what if all they had to do is go to court and bring blood work to show that she
the
is
DNA
a
test.
woman. It's all over. It's game over. And she kind of deflected that because she kept saying at that time, well, no, Piers, that I asked them to provide pictures and they never did. If they would have done all that, why didn't they do it then? But because they're going to court, they're suing you. I find it very interesting. Number one, legally, most people, if your lawyer doesn't present for you to dismiss a case, that's a sort of a what do you call it, negligence or whatever your duties are. So lawyers will do that. I get it. Number one. Number two, Brigitte Macron and her husband, I think they're going to wipe the floor with Candace. Now, they might use Macron's penis to wipe the floor because Bridget doesn't have one, maybe. But Kansas is going to get smacked with something. I think Delaware.
So I agree with you both. I will just say this. Someone in the chat said that Candace is getting really good at being petty. She's been petty for a very, very, very long time. But with that said, I think this case is costing her a lot more than she thought it was going to cost. I think to a large degree, her kind of shifting back to her leftist ways, maybe January, February, I look forward to her, declaring herself a libertarian so that she can continue to grift from the left, the right, and the center. So.
Yeah, well, she's totally done with Trump.
Yeah.
She's totally done.
She called him a Zionist today.
Yeah, she called him as Zionist.
Yeah.
She's called him all kinds of names recently. Said she regretted voting, getting people to vote for him. I mean, the list goes on.
Nicole, to your point, I think I mentioned this to KJ earlier. I don't think Candace cares about being labeled as a conservative or a libertarian. I don't think that is real. I really don't think she cares about that either one way or the other now. So her growing her channel, I think she said 5 million something people now, at least in the last, I don't know how many millions in the last couple of weeks, but I don't think she wants to be and or is even claiming to be a part of any quote unquote movement anymore,
except for Catholic. She's hard on the Catholic,
and she slammed Protestants this week too. Evangelicals, she slammed evangelicals. She slammed Protestants. At this point, I don't even understand why Christians listen to her. I really don't. She has a really nasty taste in her mouth for evangelicals, for Protestants. She does not believe our religion is the true religion, and she has slammed us all week long. But she loves Andrew Tate. She loves Muslims, and radical Islam is the #1 persecutor of Christians in the world, and she's coming for evangelicals, Protestants, and Jews, the Abrahamic religions. So
yeah, she's a mess. I just wish she would turn some of that frenetic energy onto the case of this young man and how he was radicalized, because I'm not going to say his name, the monster that shot Charlie, how he got radicalized. There are people who are saying that things don't add up. This is her moment to take all of that Candace-ness and throw it at something positive, but instead she's too busy counting her microaggressions. It's a bad look. I just really hope that it wears off soon.
It's a shame. It's a terrible shame because she's acting like the left is. We just went through the videos of the left trying to say that, trying to push away from what really happened here, radical trans ideology, that's what's killed, what's assassinated, or was behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And she's doing the same thing. She just the Jews are somehow implicated. It's something else. It's not who was there. And this is again giving the left ammunition to take the scent off of the case. It's disgraceful. And I was talking to Shelly about this earlier. We were watching Brandon Tatum's live on Instagram last night, and he brought up a good point. He was like, once they found the alleged shooter, it kind of took some pressure off of Charlie Kirk's family and friends because they were all worried that this person was still at large and could come after for, God forbid, Erica Kirk, Brandon Tatum, whoever else was around him. So, they were all really scared and just stressed prior to the police finding the alleged shooter. Now she's trying to start all this conspiracy and going along with the left with saying it's, not this radical trans ideology. And it's just making things worse. And the man has not even been buried yet.
I know.
One more thing. I saw the lady. Remember the lady? I think her name is either Esther or SD or Estee. She used to mock Kamala Harris during the election on the she put out a really good IG today, and basically she's Jewish. And basically said the kind of stuff she pleaded for Candace to stop, because she said the things that she's saying and instigating, these are the kind of things that get Jews killed. And wow, that was a good point. And if you can go to her IG and watch her live, I guess. But I was like, you know what? She said, please stop, Candace, please.
Not only that, but it divides the church. It divides the Christians. It divides people of faith. People who don't normally, and the conservative movement, people who don't normally follow conservatism, they know of Candace Owens because she has broken into culture and, she's on the Breakfast Club and, and now she's, within all these circles. And so if the first thing they see when they want to find someone who's supposed to be Christian or who's supposed to be conservative, it's her. It's not a good look. It really isn't. And it's just messed up all the way around, folks. And it's just it's tragic. It's very tragic because, as people have said in the chat, Candace was awesome. I mean, I was a huge fan when she first came out, but as soon as she got linked up with Kanye West, I don't know what she is sniffing, smoking, injecting, whatever he is giving this woman.
Allegedly, right.
Allegedly, it has allegedly turned her rotten. Okay. And next thing, I'm expecting for her to walk around here butt naked. Like his wife that he carries around all over France and Italy and all over the place. I mean, I don't know what's next. I don't know what's next, folks.
Well, apparently she's going to be hanging out with him. She said for the memorial, that's how she's going to memorialize Charlie Kirk this weekend. Since she's not going to the memorial and she's not invited, she's going to listen to Power. I think that's the name of the song. She's going to listen to Power and go hang out with Ye. That's what she said on her.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. So she got Ye on one side and she got Andrew Tate on the other. Wonderful role models for Christians, conservatives. Okay, goodness. All right, folks, we got some super chats here. I mean, the fruit is right there. I mean, that is the fruit. If that, what I'm saying? All right, we have some super chat. Kung Fu CJ with a $5 super chat says companies have policies. The government has nothing to do with these people losing their jobs. Absolutely. Yes. I'm 100% with you. Josh Winston with the $20 super chat.
Hey, thank you, Josh.
Says, I have to cheerlead for a minute. We are 4,000 away from 200,000 followers at Poppin' Politics. Copy the link to this episode or your favorite one and text it to your friends and family who are receptive to ideas. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Let's go. Indeed. Thank you so much, Josh, for your support. You've been amazing. Thank you.
Tremendous fan. Tremendous.
Yes. All right. Kung Fu CJ with a $2 super chat says, remember, KJ, Catholic Church and Islam are one. Wow. Yeah, folks. Check out Christian Conservative. We did a whole series on that, talking about the convergence of Catholicism, Islam, and also Candace Owens' conversion to Catholicism. So definitely check that out on @KJ Christian Conservative. All right. Jay Keller with the $5 super chat says, what we're seeing in Candace is her experiencing a spiritual warfare. Yes.
Yes, Jay.
Although her subscribers are increasing, she's leading people away from Christ. That's what I said. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Pious Vapor with a $20 super chat says, "You all and your channel have been so inspiring."
Thank you.
Oh,
That
thank
is so
you,
sweet. Thank
Pious.
you
I like
very
that
much.
name, Pious
Me too.
Vapor. I like
Yes,
that.
I do too. I like that. All right, folks. Well, that does it for us this weekend. We will be back on Monday night at 9 p.m. Got another super chat here. Colin James with the $5 super chat.
Thank you, Colin.
Yes. Who else we have here? JT. Oh my God, $200,000.
KJ.
Oh wait, no. Okay, that's it. Oh, 200,000. Make it happen. Oh my goodness. Whoo, you just got me hot. I said, what? Oh, okay. Thank you so much, JT. $2. We'll take it.
Indeed.
I looked at the wrong thing. Oh my gosh. All right. You guys have a wonderful weekend. So I think Just the Guys is going to be on tomorrow. I think they are at 7 p.m. But you can check out their latest episode on at Just the Guys Podcast. At Just the Guys Podcast. Oh no, there's no new episode tomorrow. So they will be back on next Saturday. All right, we will be back at KJ Christian Conservative on Sunday. This is the same day as the Charlie Kirk Memorial. So we're going to bring you guys all the latest on the memorial, all the speeches, and our takes on it from a biblical conservative, Christian conservative perspective. That's at KJ Christian Conservative. So definitely, check us out over there. At KJ Christian Conservative on Sunday night at 9 p.m. And then Poppin' Politics will be back on Monday. Yeah, Monday. So that does it for us tonight, folks. Thank you guys so much. Any final thoughts, ladies, before we tap out? For the memorial, because you guys won't be on before the memorial. Anything you're looking for in the memorial?
No, I mean, no. I'm just, I'm just still can't even believe it. I still can't even in my head saying those words, 3 words: Charlie Kirk assassinated. But I mean, I'm just not there. Only thing I guess I would take comfort in is that he didn't suffer.
Right.
So
what about you, Nicole? Any thoughts you want to leave everyone as far as we watch the memorial on Sunday?
Yes. Rhetoric killed Charlie Kirk. Rhetoric killed him, but it ignited a nation. And we're going to do what Charlie wanted. We're going to save this nation. And this is not a mournful time. We've already had that last week. This is the time for people to say goodbye to our friend, support his wife and his children and his family, his sister, his mother, his father, and other conservative speakers, because Turning Point USA is up 54,000 chapters. What it did is it ignited us. It woke us up. It started a firestorm. It touched our hearts in a way that without his death, we would have not been here. So I think this is going to be a rally cry for all of us to get back to work. Some of us started speaking again last weekend, right? But to get back out there, continue to take our message out into the streets and not be fearful. Careful, for sure. Fearful, absolutely not.
Yeah, same here. My takeaway or my perspective going into this memorial is Charlie Kirk was an example where he put his faith first. He talked about politics. He talked about, we started out with politics, but he made us realize that it's about our faith. It's about our faith in God and through his son, Jesus Christ, that really moves us and will move a nation. And, that's what I take from this. And with that, I just pray that God's Holy Spirit be a comfort to the Kirks, to everyone that is mourning them. to their family, to their friends. I just pray the Holy Spirit be a comfort to them all. And that I know I am. I got that message. Charlie, your message is loud and clear to me. Yes, we love this country. Yes, we want, good people in office and we want America first policies. But at the end of the day, it is about the Almighty and Jesus Christ. That's it. So we will see you guys on Monday. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.